Perfect. Well, welcome everyone. Nice to see you. And we'll start with a short resting naturally meditation. And so you can sit, have eyes open or closed. Take a few deep breaths and relax body and mind. And take a couple of deep breaths in and out again. And allow all the thoughts and emotions, sensations in the body to be there as it is. Letting the thoughts arise and disappear. Feeling the sensations come and go. Something about you is stable and clear. Indestructible essence. What's looking right now. What is aware. Open intelligence. You can also stop thinking for a moment. What remains? The alertness, clarity, the power to know, and of course there are thoughts that come in again, and maybe you sense your body or feel something, feel emotions, and that all can be there as it is, as open intelligence, appearances. And just resting naturally for a short moment right here. Our mind is vast like the sky. Nothing can affect mind, open intelligence. It's indestructible. There's no effort involved in trying to be aware or rest naturally. As we allow everything to be as it is. And that's the nature of our mind, is stable and clear, indestructible, like a crystal ball. Indestructible and clear, regardless of what kind of reflections appear within it. They are always changing, like our thoughts and emotions always change. So we relax naturally without doing anything, as the space in which everything appears and disappears. One short moment at a time. We can follow our breath again and take a deep breath in and out again. And you can open your eyes or come back to this meeting, because we had questions about where the teaching comes from. And so we incorporated all the questions into this slide presentation. So Jochen, maybe you want to start.
We wanted to speak today a little bit about the lineage, or where the teachings come from. That was a question last week, and I heard you already researched a bit, but I'm happy also to share more here. So Dzogchen Rinpoche is a Dzogchen lineage successor of Venerable Wangdo Rinpoche, a Tibetan teacher who fled from Tibet to India. There are stories about his journey online, and how he came to be in India and all he did from there. It's also Rigpa Wiki if you want to hear more. Anyway, so Dzogchen Rinpoche offers Dzogchen teachings globally and has formal centers for study and retreat in India and Sweden. Wangdo Rinpoche asked Dzogchen Rinpoche to bring about the furtherance of Dzogchen for a contemporary global culture. Rinpoche established the Short Moments online community for mutual support in gaining familiarity with the nature of mind. And through the Short Moments training, anyone can access profound and powerful Dzogchen teachings. So in essence, Wangdo Rinpoche asked Dzogchen Rinpoche to, our teacher, Dzogchen Rinpoche, to share the teachings in a way that can be understood and integrated into a contemporary global culture. The practice of Dzogchen is the most ancient and direct stream of wisdom that exists in an unerring, unbroken lineage transmission. It is that there are big books written about this, which you won't need to get into, but where you can see like this unbroken lineage of teachers, one passing on through countless generations the teachings to the next. Dzogchen is the indestructible heart essence of all paths and the summit or essence of what it means to be human. It doesn't matter what anyone believes. Anyone can be Catholic, Buddhist, Mormon, Jewish, or add any other religion or philosophy there. It doesn't matter what they are. If a person recognizes Dzogchen, great completion, the nature of mind, it does not matter what they're involved in. There is realization, great completion in every moment and ease of being. And one more here. In the range of the Himalayas, Mount Everest is the highest peak. From the peak of the summit, standing there, the power is in looking down at all the paths and the abysses along the way. A short moment of open intelligence is like having the view from the top of the mountain, the great completion of knowing one's innermost nature. Yes, in grounding ourselves in open intelligence, there is an incredible power to see all kinds of solutions we couldn't see before and act powerfully and practically in the world. From the vantage of open intelligence, we're no longer bound within conventional constructs. So, first of all, beautiful images, and you can imagine if you're on top of a vast of a mountain, you can have that vast view all around you, and you can see where the different paths are going. And Dzogchen, instead of being a gradual path where you have to walk up the mountain, we start with the introduction to the true nature of mind, which is like being on that mountaintop and like with the push of a button, and from there really seeing a much more encompassing view on all the paths, and we can make decisions also still on which path to go and where it will lead, but we can always do that with simultaneously having this perspective of the mountaintop view. Yeah, and we can share a little more maybe about the background also of Rinpoche, but Kati, do you want to take it from here?
Yes, perfect. throughout the time, the ultimate meditation of imperturbable rest has been handed down from generation to generation, stretching through time like a chain of golden mountains. The lineage of everyday awareness, everyday open intelligence, is so pure that it has no lines. Awareness is super complete in itself. It doesn't need to adopt doctrines, traditions, methods, special costumes, or locations, for it is the basis of all of these and everything as well. Yeah, it's beautiful, the chain of golden mountains. Just that metaphor warms my heart, thinking of the ancient wisdom teachings that were just handed down from one generation to the next. And there are beautiful stories, of course, in the Tibetan Dzogchen and Tibetan culture, or in the Buddhist culture, and how these teachings were carried from one generation to the next. But in terms of the short moments teachings, the ultimate meditation of imperturbable rest, one could say, and we can say it's a short moment of open intelligence. It's a moment of meditation that doesn't need to look any certain way. It's really the power of how we use our mind in every moment, and like we speak about here, but knowing that this is like the ultimate teaching in the Dzogchen traditions. Once I understood this in my own experience, the short moments and the teaching here of how to use my mind, I could understand all the teachings that were written in Dzogchens, just in a completely different way. So, and then when she speaks about furtherance of Dzogchen, just putting it in words that everybody can understand, because it's our natural state. It's something that is so accessible. It doesn't need any kind of, but the traditions are nice also to be enjoyed, and everyone can keep and have and enjoy their own traditions. But there's a depth of experience that can come along with it once we recognize open intelligence in a short moment in one's own experience. Mm-hmm. So the practice of resting imperturbably is for all people. It is not dependent on conditions such as age, intellect, education, gender, or location. We are already who we are. So should we have to go through an ordeal of decades to be who we are? Resting as awareness is all that is needed. It is swift and sure. So resting as open intelligence. Sometimes we use the word awareness, but often that has also lots of ideas, but there's used open intelligence also as nature of mind. Mm-hmm. That's perfect. We can go to the next. Yeah. So these instructions relating to realization of open intelligence have been handed down from one generation to another in many cultures around the world. There have been relatively few direct teachings that have unerring instructions on how to realize open intelligence. These direct teachings have actually been available for many thousands of years in unbroken lineage. Those who have realized their true nature through resting as open intelligence and stretches back like a range of golden mountains throughout time. And what do these teachings state? Exactly what is described in the short moments teaching: rest as open intelligence for short moments, repeated many times until it becomes spontaneous and continuous at all times. So that the ultimate essence, the ultimate meditation, the ultimate realization of the great completion. Everything is already completed. We don't need to get it from somewhere or have to purify or have to do something for it to be obvious. And nonetheless, for the most part until now, the single focus on resting as open intelligence has been available only to a relatively small number of people. And in the past, it's been very difficult to find. Those giving such teachings were often quite inaccessible. Maybe they were teaching in a cave on a snow-covered mountain in the Himalayas or in Tibet in a yak tent. You'd have to walk for days under difficult conditions to find them. Yeah, so in this way we can be thankful that times have changed, that these teachings are so accessible, and that the lineages have brought these teachings out to the global culture. But yeah, so thank you to the lineage here. Dzogchen, maybe you want to proceed here.
Yeah, the essence of, and I think most of you have been here before, so to get a personal sense of what open intelligence is, one approach is to, for just a moment, to stop thinking and look in your experience what remains when you stop thinking for a moment. There isn't anything to look for in specifically, more about what is the experience of yourself as you pause. That usually obsessive, ongoing focus on our thoughts. And typically there is a space that is recognized, alertness, or sometimes peace, stillness, clarity. Ultimately, it's the power to know, which is what open intelligence is. So it's this bare awareness that is then also, I think that is, it's vast like the clear sky. And it also is what is aware of the thoughts that then come in. So in this moment where we stop thinking, it's essentially we are aware of ourselves as this bare awareness. That's the perception in that moment, is, oh, wow, it's like looking in the mirror. And then thoughts come in, but it's the same awareness with which we've just recognized awareness itself that then is aware of all these thoughts and emotions that come in. And like the color blue is inseparable from the sky, data, all thoughts, emotions, sensations, we use the word data, are inseparable from open intelligence. So it's not a problem, and it's not that data shouldn't be there. They are inseparable from open intelligence, just like the color blue is inseparable from the sky. So there is no place to look for that is without thoughts, without emotions, or with only special thoughts and special emotions. Open intelligence pervades all thoughts, emotions, sensations equally and evenly. Open intelligence contains all data. Just as colors are inseparable from a rainbow, data are inseparable from open intelligence. Open intelligence unlocks powerful resources that are unavailable when there is effort to regulate the flow of data. By the power of open intelligence, wisdom is evident. So even though open intelligence is always present, it is the nature of mind. So it's impossible for it not to be present in every moment. If it's not recognized instinctively, experientially, whichever word you want to choose here, then the wisdom power and the open-heartedness, the compassionate aspect of open intelligence isn't obvious either. So that's what typically happens to us humans on this spinning ball called Earth, is that we're so focused on the thoughts, emotions, the content of awareness, in other words, that awareness itself is unrecognized. And that is really at the root of our suffering, is that we keep looking and trying to manage the flow of our thoughts, emotions, experiences, instead of recognizing that what we're really looking for is always already present within ourselves. Okay, I like this this imagery of having like the most precious gem, like a radiant, multifaceted diamond within ourselves, and we keep looking for it everywhere. So dropping into that, recognizing the essence of our being in a moment is like recognizing that treasure that we have within ourselves. Katya, I think that was the basis of the introduction. Do you want to continue here, or shall we pause and check in if there are any questions on the background? Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Good. So maybe first, for those who had questions about the background, and as I mentioned, I'm aware that you already have found a few things that you were interested in online. So we'd love to hear more and answer to the best of our ability. As you can see, we're not wearing any robes. So if we're not experts on Buddhism, but we'd love to hear any questions you might have. You can raise your hand, or Drake, great.
Is Candace still alive, and is her name ZG now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the name Wangdo Rinpoche gave her.
Huh. Well, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, it's actually, we wanted to, and I realized we didn't speak about this. So Candace ZG Rinpoche has been teaching for many years. And by the time she met Wangdo Rinpoche, she had already been teaching. And so we could fill entire meetups just with stories around how that happened and like the magical ways that all of this came about. But through the confluence of auspicious circumstances, they did meet. And essentially, when Wangdo Rinpoche saw her, he saw like everything about her, which is, I think, a gift that one of the gifts he had. And he essentially, without her being a Buddhist or having any formal teaching in Buddhism, made her one of his lineage successors, which, she didn't know even what that meant in that moment. And she describes it as just being so touched that she just couldn't stop crying. Yeah, so and then that was also quite a few years ago now from now on, but they started meeting again more often and having conversations and speaking about projects and how all of this could come together. And he read some of the teachings that she had written before, and so they just developed a really lively relationship from then on. I couldn't give you the exact year that was, but it took a while before ZG Rinpoche even spoke about it publicly, because she like, you could say, processed it herself and just really wanted to also honor the tradition fully. Yeah.
I guess I had one more question. Was
sure.
Where's the center in India? What part of India is it?
It's in Dzogchen in the Himalayas. We also sometimes had one in Goa for the winter season, but since 2020, when it was so hard to travel, we didn't continue operating that for now.
Dzogchen.
Mm-hmm. There's a Wangdo Rinpoche's monastery, and a huge, is it 108 feet or something? Like, it's a huge statue of Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, that he built, and that was inaugurated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And yeah, so it thrones above a lake there, and which has a lot of historical value to the Tibetan community. And yeah, it's, as I said, there are so many magical aspects to this. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Is that the area Udiana where Thomas and Baba came from? Do you know?
I actually don't know where Udiana is. So it's
Yeah,
if you look for Tsopema though, or Wangdo Rinpoche, you'll find where that is, and then you could look if that's close to there. Yeah. Any other reflections, questions on the background? Anything you're interested in?
I guess I have another question. If the Dzogchen teaching, like, has the short moments been modified very much since she came in contact with her teacher, or is it basically the same practice? That, because what I'm seeing from you guys seems like something I've saw it before. It doesn't look like it's changed very much. Like it was already kind of the way it is.
Yes, that's true. Of course, the short moments of resting naturally, there were maybe different language along the way, but the ultimate teaching and the 12 empowerments, which is also existing for a long time, is the same in the way of the support structure that the Rinpoche has put in place from that's probably already over 20 years. That's what I guess what changed was also that she for people who are longer involved and would wish to know more about potentially even more the traditional teachings, even though she doesn't teach the specific traditional, that she has given transmissions that were sort of authorized by Wangdo Rinpoche. And so she makes also those more accessible to the Western culture or to the global culture, but you can recognize where they're rooted in and has traditional aspects. But the short moments teaching in itself, like the Four Mainstays and the 12 empowerments, they are just like has the essence of the short moments, and that's the same before and after, I would say. Yeah, that's right.
Just one question about practice, like, you know how you differentiate between like emphasizing data and then not really receiving the benefit of recognizing the open intelligence, like when we're totally absorbed in the dream, you know, emotionally reactive to mental fabrications. Like, what's the most skillful way to like pull yourself out of that? Like if you really like seeing you're like kind of in this gravitational pull and you're getting sucked into a unwholesome pattern.
Right, yes, that's a good question. I mean, when there are some very compelling data or emotions or thoughts, stories that pull one into a whole story in a very challenging way, then it can be helpful. That's why there's these four mainstays. There can be helpful that one says, okay, let me focus now on a text of open intelligence or a talk about open intelligence, to just even like take a moment and focus on because sometimes a short moment is very difficult to take because the thoughts take over again. But it's still good to just think of a short moment, take a short moment, and it's like a muscle that gets stronger and stronger, even though maybe you feel like nothing's happening, especially in very challenging circumstances where there's a big pull, like you say. That's helpful, like listening to certain talks about open intelligence, where they are directly evocative to that realization. Being in a setting like this, these are all circumstances that are then make it more easier to recognize open intelligence. And then than for it to take over at one point. It's the repetition. That's why we speak, we share. The teaching has a simple message, but it of course requires just like a retraining and just a familiarization with it, especially within difficult circumstances where there's a big pull on data. But these short moments, and then the help of the other mainstays, we say other support elements, make it more supported, more obvious, to make it more obvious. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think also, Kati, maybe just to add there, that you mentioned the empowerments. I think for me, the 12 empowerments really were helpful in recognizing the process, you could say, that is happening within me in those kinds of circumstances. So first identifying it, becoming really clear on what's happening. Say if I have a conversation with somebody where I have a lot of history, and which I guess we all do. We have people in our life like that. And then being able to recognize, I guess you could call this self-awareness, like what is happening within me, what triggers get pushed, what do those triggers do with me. And so usually this happens so quick for us, right? And it feels so automatic that it's hard to catch or do something about it. But the more insight we gain into what it is that happens, while also maintaining open intelligence, even if just for glimpses throughout this process, I found that these, like, I heard this quote the other day from Viktor Frankl, who said, between stimulus and the response, there is a gap. And we usually don't even know that there is a gap, but there actually is one. We don't have to respond to everything that comes in the same way. There is a choice. And I think the teachings have really helped me to recognize this choice in every moment. Essentially, that's what it comes down to, that situations where I felt powerless or incapable of, or unwilling sometimes also, frankly, to practice because, I wanted to be right, or I wanted to do, like, I don't know, protect myself or something like that, to see that all of this could soften up by recognizing that open intelligence really is accessible at all times. And that opened up these other ways of responding. And then in my case, the relationship with a specific family member of mine was really, you could say, so powerfully transformed by just me making changes in how I respond to my internal dynamic without even doing anything. That gave me a lot of confidence that the same can, like, if this could change, anything can change. It was very convincing. So I think just having this opportunity to, I mean, like we do here also, to speak about it and to normalize it, that, as in this human condition, we're all in pretty much the same boat. We have different circumstances, different patterns, different triggers, but the dynamic is exactly the same, that we get sucked into the stories and experiences and keep repeating them. And in a similar way, the way out of that is also fundamentally the same for all of us, even though the expression is a little different than depending on our unique circumstances. And so being in a place where I would hear from others, where I can interact with others and hear their stories, and then in addition my own experiences, gave me that confidence. Yeah. Thank you.
I have a question. So I was wondering, I remember the other week we had that introduction to the 12 empowerments, had that really great PDF, which had those explanation talking about short moments and all about that. But could you tell me more about the 12 empowerments, like what they are exactly, and where can we learn more or receive them?
Yeah. Jochen, did you want to say? we can yeah, that's great. Well, we do the 12 empowerments. We have them online. There's like 12 texts like those, and but it has a process involved, and the questions are attached. Well, basically, it is like the introduction to the nature of mind in depth, and then applying it really to one's own experience while we're living life, and everything that comes up, and a bit like Jochen just shared about relationships, just where everything happens, and how to maintain and recognize and deepen the realization of open intelligence and the effect of that, of course, the ease of being and being able to actually be with oneself, that relationship that we always have, and then with oneself and all the things that are happening inside, but then also with all the people around us and the work and even our own strengths and talents. So it goes in depth into all these areas, but very personal. And then to see, basically to realize open intelligence within it, and then the effects that has are like kind of powerful, and for each one in a different way, of course, but the ease and peace and empowerment coming about. So that's and practically it's like 12 steps, and we usually start have groups also that we go through together, when it's very normalizing hearing other people's experiences. And we're sort of starting one next year again, beginning of next year. And we sometimes do it at the center, face to face, and online. At the moment, after these pandemic years, we have a lot online. And then people do it also by themselves. If they really want to just start right now, then it's all there, and we have recorded answers. But so there's these different ways of doing it. But we sort of starting and bringing it here more in, and starting next year, one where mostly it's done over a period of 12 weeks. Each empowerment has 1 week, and then people can go through the questions and the texts in their own pace and way. And then there is a space where questions and people can share. Mm-hmm. So that's the format. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I'd love to join. I'm can't wait till next year though. So is there did you say there was somewhere we can access it and do it online now with some pre-recordings?
Yes, we could maybe talk, maybe be in touch with you, and then look how we could set it up if you like to start something.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe your email, we could email, and then maybe even speak and see what can be arranged there.
Okay, great.
You can still join the group then as well. So it could be both. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. A pre-start. We do that sometimes too, so that's perfect. Yeah.
Maybe Alex, just practically for that. No, Kati, then please continue, just so that I don't forget it. Sometimes people, when they're in our newsletter, don't sign up with their full name. So I may not find you in our newsletter list. So if you want to respond to one of these invitations, just so that we can make sure we have your correct email address, then we'll be able to be in touch in that way. Absolutely.
I'll send one after this.
Great.
Thanks.
And Kati, please continue. Sorry for interrupting.
No. Yes, perfect. It's so good. I don't even remember. It'll come back. Yes.
Like the flight path of a bird in the sky.
Hard to grasp. Yes. Is there any other shares or questions? Mm-hmm.
I can share.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I did it. I did the 12 empowerments like 10, 12 years ago, and I'm still friends with a lot of people I did it together with. Even I'm drifted a bit, and not really drift. You cannot really drift from open intelligence, but you know. And I still practice all short moments till now. When I remember, when I'm desperate with something, and then you know, short moments come in my mind, or I listen to some music from John, and then you know, then it's okay again for a while. So logically, I learned a lot about Dzogchen to YouTube and to other teaching, and looked into it quite deeply for the last few years. And well, I think Candice O'Denver still has a big edge, I think. Sometimes I still listen to some of the timeless awareness of her speeches, and I think that it's always a feel-good moment. Yeah, I want to share.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's good to hear.
Yes,
Yeah.
I met again Michelle and Celine other day. They kept an open meeting, and after not seeing them for 5-6 years, you know, it is like you know, because of the COVID, everything drifted a bit, and so there she is. And it was quite impressive. It's like the time never was there, never passed. You see, so it was quite
Nice.
deep. Yes, that's just my share.
Okay,
Keep going, people. Keep going. It's a good thing.
Thank you. Well, that's good to hear. And yeah, Michelle, yeah, you had probably a meeting in Bristol. Yeah, you can see we have different meetings online, but then also face to face. Was it a face to face meeting? Nice. And in the
Maybe
UK, Bristol.
that reminds me, you know, we've scheduled another newsletter that will come tomorrow. If you're unsure yet what to do, how to start the new year, we'll have a couple of days at the center in Sweden for as an introductory training, January 2 and 3. So we'd love to see you there. The information should reach you tomorrow with a newsletter, but it's being together we've had the center since 2007, November 2007, and obviously had it with far less activity in the last few years, but you know, still it's going, and people are coming, and some have been living there together, and just having these places where we can come together. I mean, online is great. I always find this magical that we can be together from all these places and see each other, hear each other, and that, you know, all of this makes sense to each other. That's like amazing. But of course, being together, like physically in a place, it's just really remarkable. So if you feel so moved, we'd love to see you there. Any other questions or shares? Liam, I think you said you already looked into things a bit, but if there is anything you'd like to share more or ask.
Well, I'm wondering if you've ever met Lama Lena, and I'll just stop right there because I have 1,000,001 questions, and I can't wait to, you know, for the future.
Yes, yes. Kati, do you want to go?
No, you can.
I have had the honor, privilege, and joy to meet Lama Lena a few times. She and Zichi Rinpoche have known each other ever since Zichi Rinpoche met Wangdo Rinpoche, because Lama Lena used to be Wangdo Rinpoche's, well, officially translator, but also so much more. She helped a lot with the medical aspects of their community. Like, her life story is also like completely amazing. Like, I've listened to quite a few hours of that, and it's like always fun. But so she had met Wangdo Rinpoche many years ago, has lived in like the cave next door in India, and has so many stories to tell about this time and about her life. As I said, she's a great storyteller, and illustrates many of the traditional stories, both when she recounts them and I think in her own life. So she and Ziche Rinpoche had coffee and tea together, and we were there serving and helping and being around. And Lama Lina had a teaching here where we often teach as well. So there are many connections there. And of course, in essence, even though Lama Lina fundamentally, teaches the essentially like the same kernel of like the recognition, the direct introduction and the recognition of the true nature of mind, just due to her personal practice and background, which is all that any of us can really share, is our own experience, practice, and background. It will come with a very different flavor. But after the introduction, as Kati mentioned before, whoever one listens to with that obvious recognition of open intelligence, you can always see the same spark. And it's a big feast of different flavors and tastes, but they all have the single taste of direct recognition. That's like a short recap of what could be another many hour-long conversation. Kati, is there anything you wanted to share as well?
No, it's beautiful. She's and probably you mentioned that she's also a lineage successor of Wangdo Rinpoche, so in that way they share that bond there. Ziche Rinpoche and Lama Lina. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
That's great. Yes, so maybe I just wanted to share when we spoke about the open meeting in Bristol, and then the center in Sweden, or one that we had in Goa and Pema. It's like the idea of having, just having places available throughout where people can come and meet and hear open intelligence, hear the experience of others, that mutual support that we shared before about what the Four Mainstays and is about, just to have the support in gaining confidence. And of course, the texts and these 12 empowerment teachings, these teachings are an essential part of that. But then these available meetings or gatherings or centers where everyone can just deepen their experience in different ways and ways that one enjoys. Can be all online. That equally works. And then and then even after a longer time, just popping into an open meeting, that these kinds of availability, that is what Rinpoche always spoke about, having something available for people for any time, any moment in life. And having the opportunity to deepen something about us that we all share. Just thought to say that again. Right. We can share more in the next weeks about the 12 empowerments and include more material from them in the meetups. Okay.
Good.
So maybe we pause for today, and
if there are any other questions, areas of interest that you'd like us to share about or prepare things, we always want, we want these meetups really to be an opportunity to answer any questions, to strengthen practice, and also to all come together. So, but we'll always, or most of the times, prepare texts like we did today. So if you send us what you want to know more about or hear or clarify in terms of your own practice and experience, then we can adapt what we'll share about. So Good. All right. Then have a wonderful day, everybody. So nice to see you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
All the
Thank
best.
you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.